Good afternoon. It's just coming up to 18 minutes after 5 o'clock. This is GB News. We're live on TV, online, on digital radio. I'm AKUA, and it's now time for the interview. I'm struggling with the name. I want to call it Difficult Conversations, but the interview, we'll do that, shall we? But it's with former Conservative Minister Dame Andrea Jenkyns. Now, she was elected in 2015. She unseated the then Shadow Chancellor Ed Balls and went on to serve in the Cabinet as an Education Minister under Boris Johnson, who knighted her and gave her a damehood in his resignation honours. So in last month's election, she was also unseated by Labour in her West Yorkshire constituency. But I'm delighted to say she joins me now. So Dame Andrea, it's ended, this wonderful run that you had. You had a very good constituency. I think you did a good job.
Thank you, Nana, yeah.
But how are you now? Because obviously you're not doing the...
No, I'm fine, to be honest with you. I mean, within 24 hours of losing my seat, I'd updated my resume, because I'm one of these, whatever God puts in your plan, you're meant to deal with, in all honesty. Yeah.
So
never look back, I always think that.
So what are your thoughts now? So are you still in the Conservative Party? Are you still going to try and...
I am at the moment.
You are at the moment.
I mean... I think it all depends, Nana, if we pick the right leader.
Right.
If we see a lurch to the left of the party, then I think it's possibly game over, unfortunately.
Because Tom Tugendhat, he's chucked his hat in the ring.
I know.
He was...
Nice guy, but not
guy.
Necessarily my politics.
Yeah, and you've got Robert Jenrick.
Yes.
I think he's
yeah, I used to be Robert's PPS, actually. Yeah. Is very bright, good guy. I mean, I'm supporting Pretty.
Pretty Patel's amazing.
Yeah, she's amazing. Yeah. And what I like about Pretty, Nana, is she's a conviction politician. Yeah. You know, lots of people say this rhetoric out there that they're going to do this, but look at their voting records. It's completely different. I mean, if you look, Pretty, fellow Spartan as well, she voted against Sunak's sellout Windsor framework. She's voted against net zero stuff, and she's decent woman and a true Thatcherite Conservative.
And a lot of the Conservative Party was sort of talking as though they need to move more to the centre, and they were already in the centre.
Why we lost,
which is why they don't seem to see that. I'm amazed that Suella Braverman isn't on their list.
No, but I think if you look at the numbers, actually, it's about numbers at the next stage, isn't it? It's mainly the left of the party, the One Nation group, who's left. They've got the majority, so it's going to be a tough fight to get through to that next round.
Because whilst we're all dealing with Keir Starmer, who has really taken the reins, and, you know, he's getting rid of all sorts of things and making it difficult, I think, in my view, for people to actually protest legitimately about immigration.
Completely. And online as well.
Online and everything.
Silencing free speech, isn't it?
Yeah, so surely there's a role for the Conservative Party. I know they're busy internally combusting again, or internally digesting their failure. Yeah. But surely there's a role for them now. Where is Rishi Sunak?
I know. Well, he's in California at the moment, isn't he?
Pictured at a Michelin star restaurant.
I hope. I mean, the oldest party, I think the members would choose somebody like Pretty. But it's getting through this next stage. I just really hope that the MPs wake up and smell the coffee of what the general public want.
But right now, even though they're, again, looking internally, we want them to be doing something, saying something about what's going on. Nobody from the Conservative Party seems remotely interested in what's happening.
I mean, I've been speaking out as a former MP, but yeah,
they're just not doing anything.
No. I think the issue is, though, I mean, we've seen with a lot of the national newspapers, the rhetoric, what's out there, it all seems to be very much the same. So I think there's a fear of speaking out, actually. I mean, look what happened in outside Farage's office today. It's ridiculous.
The postal office, and they were all blaming. A lot of them were blaming Farage and shouting fascists and all sorts of things.
Well, he's been trending on Twitter for a week, hasn't he? Farage riots. I mean, that is crazy.
But how is that allowed? If Sir Keir Starmer is clamping down on misinformation, this should be one of the first things it should be.
I mean, what I've pointed out publicly only in the last week: how can the health secretary have previously called for actually a Daily Mail former journalist, exactly, and a Dutch politician to be thrown under a train. I mean, that's the thing I really dislike about the left, is the hypocrisy now.
Well, he also wrote calling those who voted for Suzanne Hall white supremacists, and that sort of thing. And that was recently, and there didn't seem to be any apology within his delivery afterwards, he sort of thought it was fair game.
I think it's going to get worse as well, don't you, Nana, under this government, unfortunately?
Well, we'll see. I mean, I'd like the Conservative Party to say something. I know that at the moment they seem paralysed by their own internal troubles, but some of them are, I mean, they were elected, some of them were elected and they're still out there.
Absolutely.
Now, listen, earlier we were talking about fibromyalgia, and I know that you are somebody who has to deal with, or you have experience with it.
For over 20 years, actually.
Really?
And I also have ADHD. That's why I tend to sort of blurt things out sometimes.
Do you?
It's a good excuse anyways. And I also have trigeminal neuralgia, which is neuralgia pain. So I've lived with pain every day for over 20 years, actually. But I'm one of these that I don't take medication. I literally have got a strong mind and I just block it out. But it's when you get home on a night and you're laid in bed and you're
on your own,
and you realise what pain you're in. I mentally block it out, but it's exhaustion as well because you just do not sleep. So.
Wow, what do you do to sort of mentally block out the pain?
Just keep busy, really.
That's right, isn't it? Take the focus off it, focus on something else, and suddenly you forget about it.
Absolutely.
So it's true, the mind is very clever.
I think the mind's an amazing thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So now looking at the state of British politics, what do you think is the future for the Conservative Party? Because I'm looking at them and I'm not sure they're relevant anymore.
No, I mean, as I said, Nana, I'm deciding about my future in the party depending on the leadership and whether I go into politics again or not. That's what I'm sort of deciding. I mean, I'll always be fighting on the sidelines, but it's quite nice to have this time out as well for reflection. But will they be relevant? They've took a major knock, haven't they? And I mean, I was finding on the doorstep, actually, during the election, people was saying that they just don't want to go out and vote. So it's that apathy. And this is why we got the Labour supermajority, isn't it? It was the apathy. Reform split the vote as well. People stayed at home. So are they relevant? Yes, they are relevant, but not if they stay silent on these major issues for too long. They've got to really start talking out and standing up for the British public.
Because we need them now. We need them to be speaking now. They may still be looking for a leader, but nobody has said there's literally no voice apart from Reform making any noise about the rules that have been put in place, the way things have gone. Keir Starmer has thrown out the Rwanda plan, but yet by doing that, but then he's gone really tough on people in protest, which shows that if you just imprison a few people, it can affect the many. And his argument was that Rwanda wouldn't work, there's not enough, it's a gimmick, there's not enough places, only 200 people would go. But again, the same principle would apply, surely, and it was working.
Absolutely. And also, it's the aspect that they're going to release all these prisoners because there's no spaces. So why they're locking people up for what they've put on social media? This is, to me, it's about control and trying to silence freedom of speech. I think that is, and so the Conservatives really have got to start speaking up because the public need it.
We do need them, and the Liberal Democrats, I haven't heard a word from them either. They're quite quiet.
Parliament's very homogenised at the moment. It's so many same voices, isn't it? And I think that is the issue.
This is a real problem. Now, I want to talk to you about the Olympics, and I want to get your thoughts on Iman Khalif. Now, this is the intersex person who identifies as female, but apparently, as we know, has XY chromosomes, which makes Iman a male biologically. And there were two biological males fighting against each other in the women's boxing, both with XY chromosomes.
I think it's bonkers, Nana, to be honest. I mean, I've got no problem, if you had a specific category or a special Olympics for those who, trans, I've got no problem. But we should not have. I mean, it was awful seeing that female knocked out, wasn't it? And I just think it should not be allowed. But again, under a Labour government, I just think it's going to get worse.
Well, they were talking about making it easier for people to identify as a different gender.
And I really worry. I mean, I know you're a mum, Nana, as well. We've got a child the same age, haven't we? I worry what they're going to get taught in schools as well.
Because that is a concern. Critical race theory as well will be back on the agenda, and all those other things. But then, the Labour Party, are you not slightly, though, impressed with the fact that Keir Starmer has managed to silence things and take control? I mean, you know, whether you agree with his politics or not, he has, in some respect, taken control, even if you don't agree with what he's doing and how he's done it.
No, I mean, it's took control, but that's for the moment. Things will still be bubbling, won't they? There's a lot of people who's unhappy, and I really don't like him and blaming it on one group of people. We've seen that society's been unhappy for a long time, and illegal migration is, and there's no excuse. I mean, I said even during the BLM protests, they pulled down a statue in Leeds of Queen Victoria, during the Just Stop Oil protests, anything what causes criminal damage, they should be locked up. So I think that's great. But it's got to be a fair system where whatever your cause, whether you're left-wing or right-wing, you're equal under the rule of law.
I would absolutely agree with that as well, and most people would. So finally, Andrea, where are we going to see you next, and what you got planned? Could you say you go off on holiday somewhere? Or is there something you're doing? Are you going to write a book? Are you going to do anything?
What am I going to do? Well, I've got my fingers in a few pies, so you don't like to reveal too much, do you? I mean, book-wise, maybe. I've seen a lot the last decade from even being in the Whip's office, so I'm thinking about it. I mean, also, I want to go back into business again because I've sort of got director level board experience, and so I've got my fingers in a few pies. But I'll keep always coming forward and speaking out, Nana, even though I'm not an MP anymore.
And your thoughts of your time as an MP? How would you reflect?
What a journey! I mean, right from the moment where I called it my Get Balls Out campaign, trying to oust Ed Balls. I mean, I'm not as good a dancer as him, Nana, I have to say. So, I would be like Anne Widdecombe, and if I'd have gone on Strictly, I wouldn't be anything like Ed. But no, I mean, it's been an amazing, if you think through the Brexit years, I'm proud to have been one of the Spartans to have stood up for Brexit, calling for Theresa May to resign. And I've made some really good friends, and Boris and Priti are two of them. And so I don't regret a moment.
Dame Andrea Jenkyns, thank you very much for joining me. Really good to talk to you.
Thank you.
Brilliant. That was Dame Andrea Jenkyns. You're with me. I'm Nana AKUA. This is GB News. We're live on TV, online and on digital radio. Just coming up to 31 minutes after 5 o'clock. On the way, the Great British Debate this hour. I'm asking, who gets your vote, Trump or Kamala? The race to the White House continues with some polls showing Kamala Harris is in the lead. That's up on next. But first, let's get your latest news with Sam Francis.